I don't know if you've noticed yet, but the economy kind of sucks. And when the economy kind of sucks, and maybe not necessarily the overall big numbers that economists are looking at, but like the economy of your household, the $100 extra in your grocery budget, the frickin' price of gas, like those types of economy, the economy that actually matters in your world, is not doing so hot. And that means we're going to have to make some adjustments in the next year. The Economist very infamously put out an article that everybody's going to need $5,000 more in 2023 than you needed in 2022. And now we as entrepreneurs, we know that the great thing about running your own business is that you don't have to worry as much. You can always make more money. You don't have a fixed income. Your income is directly related to your decisions and the way that you choose to sell and spend your time. But we are still going to potentially need to budget better. Maybe we'll need to cut some expenses. Maybe we'll need to tighten our belt. And that is normal and good and like honestly fiscal responsibility, right? But at the same time, we all know that our mindset about money is so important. And if you don't know this, make sure you have downloaded the Full Focus app. There is a whole 6-week intensive available for purchase or available to members about financial mindset and how important it is for your success. So go check that out. Your mindset needs to not be affected by this, right? It is so easy when there is upheaval, when there is economic distress, when people start throwing around the word recession, to shrink your mindset. It is so easy to accidentally put yourself into a space of scarcity, a space of being worried that you won't have enough or that you will run out. And that is not a good place to be in business. That makes us desperate. That makes us salesy. That makes us anxious. I mean, honestly, it's not a good place to be personally, right? Nobody wants to feel like they're running out of resources. And in our businesses in particular, it can cause us to make some poor decisions. So today we are going to talk about how to make good decisions financially without wrecking a really strong growth abundance mindset about money. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. We're talking about how to have a growth mindset while maybe tightening your belt, trimming some fat in your expenses. The economy is crazy. We know that sometimes that means we have to change the way that we spend money, but we don't want to change the way that we spend money in ways that negatively impact the way we think about money, the way we plan about money, and the way that money flows to and from us. So here's how to tighten your belt without shrinking your mindset. Right out of the gate, I want you to think about abundance. Think about your resources. Think about how much you have in the world as far more than just your purchasing power. We have gotten into this mindset, it's very consumeristic, that buying things, spending money is abundance, is good, is comfort, is prestige, is success. That's a real shit definition of success. All that you have and all that you are is not limited to what you put on your credit card. In fact, I would argue that those don't even overlap. That is two separate circles, not a Venn diagram. So the first thing that I want you to be very careful about is separating success from spending. If you have equated success in life to being able to buy things, and not that they're not related, right? Being able to afford certain luxuries, experiences, opportunities, securities is definitely part of most people's definitions of success. But if those are it, if it is buying equals success, you are never going to be happy. And that's a whole different video. But in this video, I want you to start decoupling abundance from purchase power. Similarly, gratitude the way that you do that needs to not be so much about what you have. And this is actually for a couple of reasons. For the purposes of this video, we're talking about potentially spending less money because your budget is strapped. But across the board, I don't want you to fall into the trap of gratitude being a list of things that you have. The danger of that is not just financially related. The danger of that is that you can only then be grateful if you continue to have those things. So being grateful for your health and then being sick, you lose the gratitude. Being grateful for your family and then tragedy happens. Once again, you are kind of up the creek without a paddle. Gratitude should not be entirely just this list of things that you have, be they material or be they more, family, health, whatever. There needs to be a certain level of detachment from the idea that I have these things and these things are solid. These things in our lives are not solid. People, things, conditions of, our physical, being warm, being happy, being healthy, those are all temporary things. Now, my hope for you is that you continue to be healthy and happy, but the reality is that you will not always be healthy and happy. And so we need to place the value not on I have these things as though they are solid, but more so on I have these things temporarily and I am blessed to experience them right now. So to be grateful for my child is not to be grateful for I have her, she's mine, I will always have her, because I won't. But it is to be grateful for the experience of having her right now, to be grateful for the moments of having her right now, to be grateful for being a part of her life and being able to influence the future through her. Do you see the difference? One is, this is solid, you can't take it away from me, which is not true. And one is gratitude for the experience of a temporary thing. That is really going to help you in terms of your money mindset, because gratitude then is not about what you have. Therefore, if I, for example, used to be grateful for my extensive tea collection and then decide to stop spending money on tea for budgetary reasons, I no longer have that gratitude. I feel like I have less. But if I am grateful for the experience of drinking tea, today, right now, sitting this cup of tea, I don't care how many cups there are left on the shelf, but the one that I am currently experiencing, I am grateful for. I do not feel that my life has been diminished because I am depleting my overall stock of tea instead of adding to it constantly. It's not about having, it's about experiencing. Another thing having to do with your mindset that will help a lot is to not think about this in terms of what you're cutting out, but think about changing your budget, changing your spending habits in light of what you are prioritizing. So maybe I deprioritize maintaining a tea collection and I put a higher priority on saving money for my retirement. Maybe I deprioritize having certain things done for me and place a higher priority on putting in the work myself. Maybe I deprioritize, and we'll talk about this in a minute, maybe I deprioritize temporary things that evaporate and reprioritize longer term assets and growth. Focus on changing priorities as opposed to eliminating luxuries. The next thing, and this is very similar, is that when you look for things to cut out of your budget, we'll talk about that in a second, think about it in terms of eliminating bad habits. So things that are easy to cut out of your budget are things that are not good for you. For example, If I wanted to save, like $8 out of my grocery budget for this week, here's an easy one. Don't buy ice cream. I don't really need ice cream in the house. Like, that is not going to help me for my ultimate health goals to have ice cream in the house. And I can save $8 by not having it in the house. So that also allows me to say, I'm not nickel and diming my grocery budget for $8. I am eliminating waste spending in my budget that is not in alignment with the good habits that I want to have. And the other thing that you can do mindset-wise as you're changing your budget is to focus on creative problem solving. Maybe I buy less books and instead use the library. And then instead of saying I am limiting my spending on books, I have solved a problem in my world. I've found an alternative solution, an alternative outlet to get the thing that I want that isn't a financial solution. Maybe you join a buy nothing group on Facebook and you can maybe look for things that you need that people are giving away. Maybe you figure out a way to use what you have to accomplish what you want instead of buying a very niche, probably unnecessary item. When you think about each potential purchase, not as a, can I afford this or should I afford this, but is there another way I can solve this problem that doesn't involve me buying a brand new thing? That is going to really help you to tighten your belt without shrinking your mindset. The second half of this is, of course, the concrete things you are going to do to save money or spend less money. And the first thing is to have a budget. This might go without saying for some of you, but I am always surprised by how few people have budgets and use them appropriately. So you need to make a budget for what you intend to spend. And I think that I have a YouTube video about this, so I'm sure that'll be in the end cards. You have that at the beginning of the month, then you go through, you categorize your spending, and you figure out at the end of the month how you did to use that budget, to stay in that budget. My husband and I use just an Excel spreadsheet, and then we have mint.com track all of our expenses and tell us with these nice little bars that turn from green to yellow to red how we are doing staying in budget. I totally recommend a tool like that. There's plenty of apps. Find a way to budget that works for you. The second thing that I want you to do is you're going to go through and you're going to trim some expenses, but I want to encourage you to focus on temporary things when you trim. I recognize this is kind of confusing. I said you should focus your gratitude on the experience of things, but I want you to focus on trimming the temporary experiences. And what I mean by that is anything that will not matter in 20 years doesn't necessarily get your emphasis now. We want to focus on assets and permanent things, growth, and anything that helps you become who you want to become. So maybe whether or not you stopped at Starbucks, this is the one that always gets used as an example, but maybe whether or not you stopped at Starbucks isn't going to affect your long-term happiness. Maybe whether or not you have Netflix available to you is going to affect, in fact, it might be negatively affecting your long-term happiness. If you could shift from Netflix, which is a temporary fluff thing, to reading more books out of the library, which is a long-term investment in your brain, focusing on more long-term investments as opposed to the short-term experiences. So here's an easy example. Your image or portraying success is temporary. Building long-term financial well-being for your family, that is a long-living legacy. So we want to trim things that aren't going to contribute to our long-term vision, aren't going to contribute to the legacy we want, aren't going to contribute to the person that we want to be. And you might be, again, able to use some problem solving to transition things that are temporary into things that are permanent. So for example, you might stop going to Starbucks every morning, but buy a nicer coffee machine. If you have the ability to invest in something that is going to give you that nice coffee experience that makes you want to get up in the morning, that isn't a $5 every day on, let's be honest, a lot of calories and a lot of caffeine, that is going to be much better overall than dripping money into these temporary things. Maybe go buy some movies that you love on Amazon Prime and not spend so much money on a Netflix subscription. Maybe focus on getting a more fuel efficient car, even if it's not as cool, and even if it doesn't have the image that you necessarily want. Focus on long-term effects, not the temporary experience of the little dopamine hits that some of these subscriptions or expenses are going to cost you. What we want to make sure we're not trimming is growth, investment in who we want to be. So for example, absolutely cancel your Netflix subscription, particularly if it's not making you a better person. I don't know that Netflix is making anybody a better person. And keep your gym membership. Your gym membership is an investment in who you want to be, right? It is an investment in your long-term asset of your health. Keep, for example, a program that you're in that is helping you to grow your business, and get rid of a software that you don't use very often because you bought it because you thought it would make you look cooler as a business. Focus on the long-term investments and keep the subscriptions and the expenses that are helping you to grow into the person that you want to be. And we don't want this to be performative, right? We don't want you to keep leasing a car that is, shiny because you want to be successful, right? Having the car doesn't help you be successful. Get a car that's going to get you where you need to go so that you can be investing in the assets, in you as an asset that's going to help you grow, as opposed to wasting money trying to appear as though you already are successful. And the last thing, I kind of mentioned this in eliminating wasted money on bad habits, but make sure that you're prioritizing things that are good for you. Keep the gym membership, keep the therapy, keep the coaching, keep the things that are helping you, and eliminate the things that are bad for you, that you know are bad for you, that are maybe making you sleep less. Maybe you need to give up alcohol. You don't have to be an alcoholic for it to be a really good idea to quit alcohol. You can spend a lot of money for no return on investment on things like alcohol and ice cream and coffee. Prioritize the things that are good for you. Deprioritize the things that are not leading you to the life that you want and the person that you want to be. And that is going to eliminate some of your spending without shrinking your mindset, because you know that you're choosing to spend money on the things that are important, on the things that help you become the person you want to be. And you are choosing to be able to invest in growth by not wasting money on image and bad habits and temporary experiences. Thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Tolis. Subscribe for content about a sustainable lifestyle, life design, self-care, household, maybe a little bit of parenting, and primarily entrepreneurship. I'm inviting you to download the free Full Focus app. It is available on Apple or Google, and that is going to give you access to all of our free business content. It's going to give you a look at our membership program, and it's going to give you lots of different resources on how to build a business that supports the life you want to live, where you get to have the good and you get to have the great. Go ahead and give me and the Emerald Office a follow on Instagram. Find us online at www.theemeraldoffice.com. And I can't wait to see you again.